In the busy border town of Beitbridge, where wide tarred roads carried endless streams of heavy trucks and the sun burned bright over the constant motion of trade and travel, lived a boy named Ethan. He was 10 years old, a clever child, full of life, sharp with his books, and always first to run when it was time for a game of football. But after school, when the final bell rang and the other children rushed into warm homes filled with voices and laughter, Ethan returned to silence. His parents, hard-working and respected, owned a hardware shop near the main road. They were out before sunrise and came back long after sunset. They loved their son, but love often stayed locked behind the glass counter of their business. One evening over supper, Ethan mumbled while pushing sadza around his plate. "I don't like coming home to no one." His mother paused, looked at her husband, then back at Ethan. "We're trying, baby. We're doing this for you." He nodded, but the loneliness didn't. The following weekend, Mrs. Carter sat him down. "From now on, you'll stay with Miss Lisa next door after school." She said it's fine. Ethan blinked. "The one with the red curtains?" "Yes, the one who bakes." Everyone knew Miss Lisa. In her early 30s, always neat, quiet, helpful. She sold handmade candles and herbal oils online. Her house smelled like cinnamon and soft flowers. She lived alone, had no children, no husband, and no loud music. Just soft greetings and the smell of things burning slowly. On Monday, instead of stepping into the silence of his own house, Ethan walked next door. Lisa welcomed him with juice and warm bread. She asked about his school, let him play games on her tablet, told him stories, and when there were power cuts, she lit candles that looked like tiny stars. "I used to want a little brother," she once said. "You remind me of someone I loved." Ethan didn't understand, but he smiled anyway. One Friday, she gave him a football. "Just for you." "Thank you, Miss Lisa." He beamed, but something shifted after that. The next week, she started sitting closer, watching him longer. One afternoon, she told him, "Let's play a secret game. No one else needs to know." He looked at her, unsure. "What game?" "Don't worry," she said, smiling. "It's our special time." That day, Ethan went home quieter than usual. He didn't touch his food. That night, he wet the bed. It became a pattern. Shame creeping in like a shadow he couldn't name. He couldn't explain it. He didn't have the words, but it didn't feel right. At school, his laughter faded. He stopped raising his hand. His drawings looked darker. His energy changed. His teacher, Mrs. Jenkins, noticed. "Ethan?" she asked after class. "Are you okay?" He nodded. "Is everything okay at home?" Later, she pulled him aside gently. "Ethan," she said, "you can tell me anything. You're not alone." He looked up at her with wet eyes. His voice was a whisper. "I don't like being at Miss Lisa's place." Mrs. Jenkins sat down. "Why not?" He didn't say much, just enough. Enough for her to understand. The school alerted the social worker. His parents were called in. When they heard the truth, their faces broke. His mother sobbed. His father couldn't speak. Lisa was arrested 3 days later. The town was stunned. Many refused to believe it. But behind closed doors, people started remembering the small things. The times she stayed too long around children, the locked windows, the quiet sadness in her eyes. What most didn't know was this. Lisa had once been a child like Ethan. Abused, silenced, passed from relative to relative after her mother died. Her story had stayed buried for years, rotting quietly inside her until it found a new victim. Ethan began therapy soon after. His counselor, Mr. Moyo, helped him draw what he couldn't say, helped him name feelings he didn't know, helped him understand that nothing was his fault. Weeks passed. The bedwetting stopped. He laughed again, played again, but something had changed in him. Like a boy who had stepped through fire and come out knowing what burns felt like. One day he handed a thank you card to Mrs. Jenkins. "You listened?" he said simply. She smiled. "You were brave." Now, in grade 6, Ethan stands in front of his classmates during assembly, not to share what happened, but to talk about courage, about speaking up, and sometimes, when no one's watching, he stands in front of his mirror and whispers, "I am not broken. I was never the problem. I survived." Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, and share with someone who needs to hear it. Don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories. Stay safe, stay strong, and remember, sometimes the smallest voices carry the greatest strength.